Hi guys, and welcome to my audio review for the March 22nd, 2024 edition of Friday Night SmackDown. I'm Graham G.S. Matthews. Hope you guys are doing well and having a great weekend so far. A good, not a great edition of SmackDown on Friday, I thought. I enjoyed the episode overall. Did its job in setting the stage on the SmackDown side of things for WrestleMania. 2 more tag team qualifiers, a new SmackDown superstar signed, more on that later, and the face-to-face between Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes in the main event segment. Did it live up to expectations or did it not? We'll get into that a little bit later on. We'll start at the beginning here. Santos Escobar and Rey Mysterio, you talk about big things happening on the show, going one-on-one in this episode. The match I thought should have been saved for WrestleMania. At this point, considering we got not only the match here, but an actual finish, it's pretty clear they're doing a multi-man match at WrestleMania in some form or fashion. The finish I was not expecting. They did say, Nick Aldis did make the comment earlier in the day on Thursday or Wednesday, whatever it was on social media, that both the LWO and Legado del Fantasma would be barred from ringside. So there would be no interference, although there was. It was from a fan, quote-unquote, Dominic Mysterio, appearing in a Rey Mysterio mask, an LWO shirt, jumping the barricade, attacking Rey at the end, costing him the victory. Now, prior to that point, I thought Rey and Santos were having a really good match, which is why I'm bummed that we didn't get it at WrestleMania. Maybe they thought, we already have too many singles matches at Mania between Cody and Roman, Drew and Seth, the 2 women's championship matches. We got AJ Styles and LA Knight, Gunther and Sami Zayn. Now, we are also getting a 6-team ladder match, which is fucking crazy. Probably a women's tag team title match that I'll get to a little bit later on. A triple threat for the United States Championship. And probably another multi-man match I'm not thinking of. But, I think they could have afforded to do. And if it makes sense, it makes sense. If they want to do faction wars, that's fine. To me, the match that made the most sense for Mania was Rey and Santos one-on-one. And now we're not getting it at Mania. I'm glad Santos won here. It was a really good match. Early on, Rey did botch a little bit. Wade chalked it up on commentary to Rey. He's been out of the ring for a couple of months, which might honestly be true as far as ring rust. And he hasn't wrestled since, what it would have been, probably November, right? At Crown Jewel would have been the last time that he was in the ring for a full-length match. So he hasn't wrestled in a while, and he botched a little bit early on. But beyond that, I thought this was a really good match. I think it should have been saved for WrestleMania. And now, seeing what they did here, it looks like they want to get Dom on the Mania card. And I totally get that. Dom gets a lot of heat. He was on the card last year with Rey. So now they're running that back. Now, Santos has mentioned Rey before in talking about, I understand why Dominic turned on you and blah, blah, blah. Maybe they interacted. I want to say they interacted in the Men's Rumble a couple of months ago. You know who Santos also interacted with in the Rumble that Rey probably would have been in the mix as well had he returned by that point? Was Andrade. We've seen Andrade back now for a while. He signed with Raw about a month ago. Hasn't done anything. He's had all of one match against Apollo Crews with the win, and that's been it so far. It looks like they might be setting up a tag match for Mania. Now, honestly, the faction wars make more sense storyline-wise because those have been the 2 feuding factions. But I think the more appealing match, honestly, if we are not getting Santos and Rey one-on-one again at Mania, and it has to be some sort of a tag team match or a 6-man or something, maybe they could add Dragon Lee into the mix, but he's been cooled off considerably in the last couple of months. I don't think it's going to be Dragon Lee. I think it would probably be Rey Mysterio and Andrade versus Santos and Dominic, which sounds fucking awesome in tag team action. What's at stake? Nothing. And again, we have all these, I get, would it turn into a 10-man with the other members of LWO and Legado? I don't know. But I'm just thinking, why would they have Dominic get involved here if they weren't planning on having them interact in some form or fashion in WrestleMania? And this will be not one of those matches that does not get put on the Mania card. And I'm not talking Rey and Santos one-on-one, but I would be shocked if Rey and Santos were not on the Mania card in some form or fashion. Like Bobby and Karrion Kross, they might do some sort of 6-man next week, or rather at WrestleMania, or an 8-man involving Scarlett and B-Fab, God bless. That sounds like it'd be terrible, especially if it's involving them. No disrespect to them, they are not good. Scarlett is worse probably than B-Fab, but I don't need to see them in the ring exchanging blows. No thanks. Legado and, LWO, Zelina, and Elektra, that's fine. They're like regular in-ring competitors. B-Fab and Scarlett are not. So keep them out of the ring, please. But yeah, if that match does not get put on the Mania card, which there's still a chance it could be, not only do I not really care, but I wouldn't be overly shocked. I've said this. We got Bobby and Karrion Kross one-on-one already a couple of weeks ago. They might do Bobby and the Profits versus AOP and Karrion Kross at Mania, and I'd be totally down for that. Bobby should not be shafted from the Mania card twice. But I think it's more likely that we get some sort of a tag team match with Rey and Andrade and Dominic and, I don't know about Dragon Lee, probably, I mentioned Andrade. Rey, Andrade, Dominic, and Santos would probably be the match. As long as it's some form or combination of those guys, that's totally fine. I thought we might just get Andrade and Dominic one-on-one, but if they want to merge it into one matchup so they're not, I don't know, so they don't have fucking 18 matches across the card, that would be totally fine with me as well. We're closing in on Mania. Mania is in 2 weeks from today, so they kind of have to confirm that match as of Monday's Raw or next SmackDown, next week on SmackDown. I can't imagine they wait until the day before, so it probably would have to be next week. After that, we had a WrestleMania 40 Undisputed WWE Tag Team Championship SmackDown Tournament match. Holy shit, that is a fucking mouthful. And it wasn't even the full headline. It was like I don't even really know how you would describe it. We've had 2 different brackets. SmackDown's had this tournament going on with 8 teams. Only 2 teams will qualify for the Undisputed WWE Tag Team title ladder match, the 6-man or 6-team rather, ladder match at WrestleMania for the tag team titles. So it's going to be New Catch Republic and Legato's Angel and Berto, which is what they're calling him now, which is so fucking stupid, next week on SmackDown. We found out the other half of the other match for next week with Theory, Waller, OC here, and Theory and Waller obviously qualifying. The match was fine. I like what Waller and Theory. The OC just do nothing for me at this point. Who the fuck could possibly care about these two? I know they got their thing going on in NXT, and that's great. I think that's a fine fit for them right now. They are not going to WrestleMania. Maybe no, they're not definitely at Stand and Deliver either. I feel like they could definitely go to Stand and Deliver, though, and probably face and beat Corbin, which is so comical because Corbin and Breakker especially are basically main roster guys. Gallows and Anderson versus Breakker and Corbin has nothing to do with NXT at all. Really, in the long, grand scheme of things, that is a main roster match, not an NXT match. But that might end up being the match if Gallows and Anderson can win on Tuesday's NXT. Now, we have barely seen the OC interact with AJ on this show. They've just been fucking losers, like letting AJ do whatever he wants, kind of telling him, oh, we want your back and whatever, but they're still the OC. Like, does the OC not involve AJ Styles at this point? It's very confusing. I don't know. But at least Waller and Theory won here as they should have. We had IYO SKY and Naomi going one-on-one. Now, earlier in the show, we saw Bianca, Bayley, and Naomi all interact. And I love that Bianca's taking the Drew McIntyre route right now and doing things that make sense. She sees no reason as to why she should help Bayley. Now, she might help her now because Bayley... I was actually going to say Bayley came to her aid later in the show. She did not. Bayley got attacked. So maybe this is leading to at some point a heel turn for Bianca, which I thought might have been the plan for Charlotte and Bianca going into Mania. Charlotte got hurt. Didn't happen. But I like the route they're taking here too. Now, I do think Tiffany and Bianca is a far better match. We saw Tiffany very briefly backstage interrupting Bianca and Naomi in a segment that aired after the one with Bayley, Bianca, and Naomi. Because one was before the commercial break, one was after. And I really wanted Bianca and Tiffany. I've been kind of subscribed to the theory that they are not doing Bianca and Tiffany at WrestleMania. If they were going to, they would have started building that up a while ago. It was weird. They had Bianca talking for a long time about, I got to make Mania. I got to extend my undefeated streak in Mania. And she hasn't talked about that in weeks. Now, she is taking exception to the fact that Bayley isn't really asking for sympathy. But Bayley is out here defending Naomi, getting her involved in her business. And Bianca's like, listen, don't get involved with Bayley. Everything she has coming to her is well-deserved. You were not here when she was attacking me for fucking 2 straight years. I have no love lost for Bayley whatsoever. So I like the fact of what they're doing with her instead. But as we talked about on WrestleRant Radio on Thursday, Bianca and Naomi versus Damage Control is not an overly exciting match on paper. That sounds like a SmackDown match. Now it gets Naomi at Mania. It gets Bianca at Mania, obviously. Would get the tag titles defended at Mania, which again, who gives a shit? Those belts mean nothing. But what I think this could be leading to, because IYO SKY ended up beating Naomi, they had a good match. That wasn't really the focal point, but they had a good match in the time they were allotted. Bianca came out to save her, clean house a little bit, didn't really work. Damage Control stood tall, and Bayley was nowhere to be seen because she was attacked by IYO before this match started. So the heels once again standing tall, which was much needed. A much needed heel beatdown for Damage Control. I know they laid out Bayley at the end of last week's show, but they need more heat. The focus needs to be back in Damage Control, and Bayley's been playing her role well. But anyway, where I think this might be leading is, they announced on the show Jade Cargill is officially signed with SmackDown, which would make sense, because the only brand I think we've really seen her appear on since the Royal Rumble is SmackDown. I don't think she's made a single Raw appearance since the Rumble. She's appeared on SmackDown in various backstage segments in the last couple of months. She finally put pen to paper with the blue brand here. And I think that's a fine addition to the show. I don't think we're getting Jade and Nia at this point. I pitched that a while ago. What I think we're getting, actually, is Bianca, Jade, and Naomi versus Dakota, Asuka, and IYO. Now, the tag titles wouldn't be on the line. It would be another 6-woman tag team match for Damage Control at Mania, a lot like last year. Who gives a shit? The titles do not really necessarily need to be defended at Mania. We could probably get Bianca and Jade or Bianca and Naomi challenging for those tag titles coming out of WrestleMania, maybe as soon as the post-WrestleMania SmackDown, and then winning. So Jade going to SmackDown is interesting because they already got Tiffany on SmackDown. I want to say, they got Naomi as well. So since the Rumble, they added Naomi, Tiffany, and Jade all to SmackDown. I don't know if Raw's got anyone, female-wise. They may have gotten one person. I feel like they got like a manager. Who was it? Man, I'm not thinking straight. Not Valhalla. Maxine? No, it wasn't Maxine. It was someone like that, though. Ivy Nile, I think, is who I'm thinking of. They got Ivy Nile a couple months ago, and she's been a good addition. But, like, Naomi, Jade, and Tiffany blow Ivy Nile out of the water. So it's not even close. So SmackDown's women's division, including Charlotte, who's out injured right now, is looking fucking stacked. For a division that was kind of slightly underwhelming a couple of months ago, they've really stacked the deck in SmackDown's favor. I assume it will not stay that way post-Mania in the draft, but for now it's stacked. So I think we might be getting Jade, Bianca, and Naomi versus Dakota, IYO, and Asuka. Not IYO, Asuka, Kairi, and Dakota at WrestleMania. I feel like that'd be a really good match to do. Is it an attraction match? Not really, but it would get Jade on the Mania card. Jade and Bianca can team up and show their strength off, and before hopefully leading to a feud between the two. And who knows what's going to happen when Charlotte comes back. So I really like the idea to have that be the Mania match. Again, I would have... That doesn't include Tiffany. Tiffany would not be in a match at Mania, which is a bummer. She just got called up, but it's like, why call her up now if you're not going to use her at Mania? But whatever. Same thing with Braun Breaker. But, I like the idea of doing that match for Mania, so I'm liking where this is going. We had the Authors of Pain losing to the Street Profits here. Authors of Pain previously beat the Profits about a month ago, I think, on SmackDown. The Profits avenging that loss here to not only win, but to advance in the tournament, getting one step closer to WrestleMania, to where they can challenge for the tag team titles. A good match. I thought this was better than the last match. I think all the matches in the SmackDown tag team tournament have been good. Waller and Theory versus OC probably being the weakest of the bunch, but this was good, though. Speaking of tag team action, we did find out next week on the show. They announced several matches, which is exciting because I will be there for that show next week. They announced a number of matches, actually. They said it's going to be Dakota Kai taking on, I think, Bianca versus Dakota Kai. They're doing that match, and I mentioned tag team action. Pretty Deadly will be taking on Kevin Owens and Randy Orton in tag team action. They announced Jade's first appearance as a SmackDown superstar in person. Looking forward to that. And I think there was one other match. Oh, yeah, the two other matches as part of this tag team tournament. So the Profits will face Waller and Theory, and then not Pretty Deadly, but New Catch Republic will face Legato's Angel and Berto. And the winners of those matches will then advance to WrestleMania and qualify for the ladder match on that show for the tag team titles. So a pretty stacked show on tap for next week. It's a bummer, too, because I'm looking forward to being at that show. We're not getting any of the top stars on that show, that it seems. Like, Orton will be on the show, and that's great. But they gave us Orton and, not Orton, but rather Cody and Roman on this show. They did not advertise Cody and Roman for next week's show. They didn't advertise anyone, actually, for that show. Cody is not, like, on that list of live events he has coming up and the shows he's appearing on. He is not booked for SmackDown. So unless Roman is making a singles promo, it looks like they will not be on the show. Next week might be just a recap week as far as video packages are concerned. They might appear on the SmackDown before Mania. I wouldn't be surprised about that, and I think they should. But it doesn't look like anyone involved in that main event program will be on the show next week, which is a bummer because The Rock will be on Raw the following week, the final Raw before WrestleMania, and that's great, but I'm kind of selfish. I wanted The Rock on SmackDown next week, and we're not getting him. So, it is what it is. But speaking of Cody and Roman, they were on this show face-to-face, and this was the first time we've really seen them kind of focus in on each other without... Rollins did show up, but without The Rock being there. This was the first SmackDown without The Rock in about a month. And I think since the SmackDown right before Elimination Chamber, he's been on every SmackDown since then, since the pay-per-view. And honestly, so I thought this was good. I did not think it was great. Cody's line about, you call me the best number two, but I'm just going to be the one after Mania when I beat you for that championship. I thought that was great. I like that Cody acknowledged, because Roman brought up the Shield and how, oh, can you trust Seth Rollins? He turned on me. And then Cody said, oh, can you trust The Rock? And Roman wasn't wrong when he said, oh, Cody, you've already said that. Like, he said the same thing to The Rock. He just twisted it around. No shit. Like a typical politician, which is funny because Cody does give off, and I love Cody, but Cody does give off big politician vibes, which is funny that Roman would say that. But, between all of that and, the Shield thing, like I mentioned, they mentioned the Shield, and Cody mentioned, oh, who was the first team to beat the Shield? I'll give you an answer. It had Rhodes in the last name. And I'm thinking, I don't know if that's accurate. I don't think the first team to beat the Shield was the Rhodes. I remember they made a big deal about it. I think it was a count-out win, actually. The Shield suffered their first loss after like 7 or 8 months by, I think, a team of Bryan, Orton, and I think Kane. I think it was Orton and Team Hell No right before the Payback pay-per-view. Now, that was a count-out win. I think the first actual win the first actual loss for the Shield, I mean, you can go back and look. Off the top of my head, I think it was Christian and the Usos, which is so fucking random, I know, but I think it happened on Main Event or something, or on SmackDown maybe, I don't remember. It was something along those lines. I know Cody and Goldust did beat the Shield at Battleground, but they had already lost a few times prior to that point. But that was an amazing match, though, so I'll never turn down a reference to that matchup from Battleground 2013. But anyway, for all the talk about, their own issues and stuff, they kind of spent a majority of this segment hyping up the tag team match. Talking about Rollins and talking about Rock, and not really so much their match from last year. And I thought that was a missed opportunity. I don't know how many opportunities we're going to get to see these two with each other in the ring between now and Mania. And I've said before, they got to get the focus back on the Night 2 main event. I know the Night 1 main event has Night 2 implications, but Night 2 is Night 2. And again, Night 1 has The Rock, and it has Rollins also involved, and that's great. It's a star-studded main event, probably the most star-studded tag team match in Mania history. It's definitely up there. But Night 2 is all about the championship. Roman's been champion now for almost 4 fucking years. If he loses that belt to Mania, and he absolutely fucking should, it has to be a big deal. Them talking all about the tag team match doesn't really make that Night 2 main event feel like a big deal. It makes it feel like it's all about The Rock, which currently it is. That can't be the case. Rock can be a big factor, but it really has to be about Roman and Cody at the end of the day. So again, I like this for what it was. Roman walked off, and the whole thing was, I'm going to come alone, even though Paul Heyman was there. Paul Heyman's not going to do shit. And I think Roman even said that. He's no physical threat, so okay, whatever. Roman snapped his fingers. Solo and Jimmy came through the crowd, and then Cody snapped, I think, his fingers as well. And then Rollins and Jade came through the crowd. No physicality. They just kind of faced off. I thought that was fucking cool. I thought the way they shot that and then transitioned from Roman's music to Cody's music to close the show was awesome. I feel like we might still get some physicality between the two trios before Mania, maybe in 2 weeks in that final SmackDown before Mania. Maybe with The Rock coming out as well, because The Rock will be in town, obviously, for WrestleMania. So I don't know, but it's going to be interesting what they do Mania weekend. The build so far has been great, but I don't really like the fact it's more so focused on the Night 1 main event and not Night 2. That was my biggest nitpick of this segment. But overall, I enjoyed it for what it was. A lot of like WWE one-liners, waiting for the crowd to respond, all this other sort of shit. I enjoyed it overall. I actually like this more than the face-to-face with Cody, Roman, Rock, and Rollins. And this cut down on the entrances. The entrances were still long with just Roman and Cody, and it took up the final 30 minutes of the show, which was fine. But like that one with the tag team one where they made the match official 2 weeks ago, that was like literally 20 fucking minutes of entrances. That was ridiculous. That was egregious. I love a grand entrance as much as anyone, but that went on for way too long. This got more time. I appreciated that. I liked the segment. I liked the show. I thought the show was good. A great show? No, but I thought it was a good show. And I'm looking forward to being there next week for all the matches I mentioned earlier. I'm going to try to do an on-site report, a full audio review of the show before... I'm going to do it at some point next week, and I think I should be able to. Not only will I be at SmackDown at Mohegan Sun next week, I'm actually attending a Becky Lynch book signing here in Connecticut. Mr. Marceau will be there. Shout out to him. Not far from where I live, actually. She will be there in person signing copies of her book. I will be there for that. And that's at like noon. So I'm hoping to do this thing early, get it out of the way early. It might not be up right away. It might be up a little bit later on in the day, so just a heads up on that. But I am hoping to do a full audio review on-site report from SmackDown from Friday on Saturday next week, so keep an eye/ear out for that. Thank you guys for checking out this review, though. I appreciate that as well. Be sure to like the video, drop a comment, share the video, and subscribe to the channel for more daily content. Have an awesome one, guys. I'm Graham G. Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.